Yo, guys, what is going on? Good to see you guys. What's happening, everybody? Let me just do audio here. What's happening, everybody? Got a lot to talk about tonight. We're going to review the first 8 games, and we're also going to take a look at. I'm just waiting for the African Guna coming in, and we're also going to take a look at quite a few other things as well. The African Guna, what's going on, bro?
What's going on? All good, all good. I hate the international break. It's so damn boring.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
that's
life
why we
without Arsenal is boring.
That's why we got to come up with a lot of content like this to to get us by.
Exactly,
Otherwise, we'd go nuts.
exactly.
So guys, yeah, we're gonna talk about quite a bit of stuff. We're gonna review the first 8 games. We're gonna give our thoughts and give our marks really about what we thought about those games as a whole. Hindsight is a beautiful thing. So now we can step back and take a look at those games and give our thoughts. Also, we're going to talk about who we thought is really doing well this season, and we're going to talk about who we don't think is doing well this season and who we think is our player so far. So let's get right into it straight away. African Guna, how are you, first of all? How's things going? And how are you liking the season so far? You can see the league table there. So, yeah, let's talk about it.
Thing, things are going well. If we're looking at season on season, we're 2 points better off than last season. I think we've scored 2 goals less, but we've also conceded 3 goals less as well. So I think overall, defensively, we're doing much better. I mean, part of the reasons of last season's failure is obviously when Saliba went out of the team, we started conceding a lot of goals. I don't think we had an issue last season of scoring a lot of goals, but I think this season, look, I mean, we're getting by. We're not thrashing teams apart from PSV when we won 4-0. And maybe some of my expectation was some of the other games we should have won much more comfortably. I still want to see us create a bit more. I think that's partly due to injuries, but also funnily enough, Xhaka being out of the team seems to have like disabled. I want to say disabled, but it's like taken away something from our game, and obviously trying to embed Kai Havertz in, who's relearning a new position in Arteta's eyes and stuff. It's taking some time to come to fruition, but we're still getting the results, and at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. So obviously, being second in the table, that's what I would expect after 8 games. I obviously would expect Man City up there. I wouldn't expect Spurs. I think Spurs, when we talk about the teams that have done well, unfortunately, rivalry aside, you have to be honest, they are playing really well. And I've been watching their games, and they look quite an attacking team. I mean, they're creating more chances, more opportunities than we are. And that's funny because you think without Harry Kane, they were going to struggle, and they're actually doing the best that they've ever done. I think that's the best start to any season they've had.
Yeah, in 58 years.
Yeah, exactly. So I think overall sentiment, we are tied for first place after 8 games. So, I mean, you can't fault that at all, right?
Yep. For me, look, we can go through. Let's get the big stuff out the way first. Let's revisit those games, and you guys have your say in the chat as well. If you've got opinions, we would love to hear them. The first game coming up is Nottingham Forest. So obviously we're taking a look at the first 8 games, and I think I can get rid of the big screen now, can't I? Because that's really the league table. So we're talking about Nottingham Forest now, and this is the season opener, and the game had been delayed for 30 minutes because of awful ticketing. I actually made a video about that.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen it, guys, go and check it out.
I think it was an hour even. I think it was an hour. I don't even think it was 30 minutes. It was an hour.
I was being nice by saying, but a lot of people was out there for an hour, but the game was only delayed by 30 minutes, right?
Okay.
So that meant the majority of fans weren't walking into the stadium until after 15, 20 minutes, even after the half an hour start. And for me, guys, just to really sum it up, obviously winning your first game is no easy task. Everybody knows. I think Arsenal went 4 or 5 years without winning their first game. It was, really off to a shaky start. 1 year, I think it was 4 years ago or 3 years ago, we lost our first 3 games, and Spurs won their first 3 games. So we was looking at the table, we were rock bottom, and Spurs were at the top. I think it was 3 years ago, actually.
Yeah, it was 3 years ago.
For me, And so for me, it should have been a clean sheet. We had goals. The first goal, Saka got his goal as well. It was good because at that point, Saka was involved in 18 goals in the last 24 appearances for Arsenal. Eddie Nketiah, as you know, that was his 14th goal in 17 starts at the Emirates Stadium. So it was just like everything was good. We were singing, we were flying, and then and then the end of the game came. Nuts Forest made the substitution, and Odegaard, actually, if you remember, guys, he got fouled and the referee didn't give it, and they went all the way on the other end and scored. So look, that for me, that was poor officiating, which is going to be a theme. Yeah. So for me, that's poor officiating, which is actually going to be a theme throughout the start of our season. But I think it was a good performance, especially bearing in mind Arsenal's dominance in that game. I mean, Nottingham Forest didn't have a sniff until they made that substitution. And really, as I said, the goal shouldn't have been allowed. So I'm going to give that game an 8. What was your thoughts on that first game of the season?
Yeah, I'd probably give it a 7. I think preseason wasn't as good as last season's, the season before, where we won almost every single game in preseason. So there was a bit less confidence of like, we're going to destroy, completely walk all over them. But I think the most important thing was the 3 points. And I mean, their goal, as I said, it was, I think, Elanga who just like sprinted down the line, crossed it, and then they scored. So, I mean, sometimes some goals, there's nothing you can do about it. You just need to call it as it is, and it's a good goal. But yeah, most important for me was the 3 points. So I would give it a 7. Yeah, it's always hard. I think, just in terms of the point about us going 3-4 seasons losing the first couple of games, that was always because we were lackluster in the transfer market. We were reactive. We never had our team we didn't have the team ready. We didn't have the players signed, and in the last 3 years has been such a big difference, and you can see that translate on the pitch because we're winning all our games in the beginning of the season. And it's important to start off strong because, especially as we know now with Man City, winning every game, within the first 5 games, if you don't win all your games, you're pretty much out the title race. I mean, that is how it is now, right?
Yeah.
So
that's the levels that we're living with. Yeah.
So I'll give it a 7.
That's a great point about the transfer window, because we had all of our business done in a matter of 3 weeks. And I think we were going into July and everyone was kind of just putting their feet up, relaxing, going on holiday and not even talking about. Could you imagine? This is the first summer Arsenal fans weren't even talking about transfers because they were already done. We were just we were talking about who we're going to get rid of.
We're waiting for deadline day when we just scramble, last minute deals for like average players or just slightly above average players, and then make do with what we have. And the planning and recruitment has been substantially better, and that's translating on the pitch. No one's talking about it anymore. No one's talking about the Kroenkes anymore. No one's talking about us not spending enough money. I mean, all that talk is like, it's history. And it's funny because, I was reflecting on this a few days ago, and, it's only been 2 or 3 really good seasons, and we had like 10 plus years of bad seasons, and it all feels somewhat erased because there's so much joy that we're getting now that like it feels like so long ago, but it really wasn't very long ago where we were a mess, but it's just turned around and everything's been so positive that it's kind of very forgiving, and you're like, oh, that's the old Arsenal, and that's great. We dreamed of getting to this stage, and on this channel I will say I never thought we would get to this point, right? At least not this quickly. And it's just great to be at this point where
that's the plan. That was the process.
It's one of the best teams in the world.
Yeah. I mean, that was the process. That was the plan. The plan was in 3 years, we get into the Champions League. In year 4 and 5, we'll try and win the league or the Champions League, just like Jurgen Klopp did. He did it at Liverpool in his 3rd year. They win Champions League. They did it in the reverse, didn't they? They won the Champions League in the 4th year, then won the league in the 5th year. So it's possible, and we know how much money they spent, the African Guno. So we know that it's doable if you've got a good manager, a great young core of players, and we know it's manageable. But Emerson, shout out to you, Emerson. Emerson says, evening Apollo and the African Guno, a surprise packages Aston Villa, but this time we'll tell on Brighton and Newcastle with their European adventures. Yeah, I think Newcastle are going to struggle somewhat. They done great against PSG. Maybe I'm going to come back and bite the bullet on that one. But I just think it's so hyper competitive now. Teams like Man United and that, I mean, they're just dead in the water, aren't they? Liverpool are going to struggle. although they're doing
I'm
quite
not
well at
sure
the
on
moment.
Liverpool yet. I mean, we can touch quickly on that. I think it's still too early to call on Liverpool. There's like something there, there's something there, but I don't want to say they're dead, and I don't want to say they're going to be a part of it. I think maybe in the next 5 games we'll know if they drop off, but they have something there. They have good midfield now. Salah, Diaz is back, who was injured last season. I think he's a really great player.
Yeah, they got
and then
Jota.
they have so many options. Jota, Nunes, they have so many striking options. So
Nunes
it's
isn't
just
even,
their defense.
He's not even starting regularly. Yeah,
Exactly.
Nunes isn't even starting regularly as well. Scary about that. On to the next game, guys. On me a little bit, so bear with me. There we go. There's another comment coming up. And G's talking to Emerson said, would be really, really nice if we got far in the Champions League and did the unspeakable. My money, City, has ruined the league, but Champions League is still a chance for us to show how great we are. I think it's a fair factor. There's less games, obviously, in the Champions League, but I think it's fair. Guys, we're moving on to the second game now, Crystal Palace. Now, the reason why this, actually, I should probably give it an 8, but we done them last season in tremendous fashion.
First game.
Game, yeah. And I think everybody was thinking, this is an away game. It's the first away game. How are we going to get on? How are we going to do with the new personnel? And it was still fairly comfortable to me. We took care of Eze, their best player. We marked him at the game. Clean sheets away from home is just an Arsenal thing. It's just a narrative. 10 last season, and already in 4 games, in 4 away games this season, we haven't let a goal in. I mean, come on, African Guna, that's just incredible.
Crazy. And you reflect on Socrates and Mustafi and all the likes that all the pain that we've been through, and now you're saying Saliba, Gabriel, clean sheets away from home, almost guaranteed. I mean, and if you don't concede, you can't lose, right? I mean, that's always been, I think, an emphasis for me is that if you don't concede, at least you walk away with a point, and that's right, a big difference over 38 games. So. Yeah, no.
So in this game, we got in. It was pretty much of a stalemate. Palace was set up really well. It was Nketiah who got behind the defense and was brought down by Sam Johnston, their goalkeeper, after Martinelli's quick free kick. And it was Odegaard that sent the goalkeeper the wrong way from the spot. And Arteta's side, guys, looked comfortable. They were hanging, obviously, Wamiatsu was red carded after 2 bookings, so we were playing with 10 men, and we still looked tremendously comfortable in this game. So I'm going to give this a 7.5. What would you give this game, African Guna?
Yeah, I would say also a 7.5. Obviously, we've gotten a lot of penalties in the first 8 games, which I don't think we got a lot of penalties last season. We were, I think, scammed a lot of penalties that we should have gotten last season. But anyways, for me, it's ironic because I always feared Zaha. That was the player for me. When we play Palace, that's the only threat I always, feared. And in this game, not facing him or not having him was, I think, a big disadvantage for them. And I felt quite comfortable, more than ever, against Palace, let's say in the last 4 or 5 years, that we were going to win, especially after we won last season. So, yeah, I think overall decent performance, clean sheet. And yeah, I mean, points at the end of the day is all that mattered, winning our first away game.
So Emerson is given that a 7. G's given it a 7 for Palace as well. 18's given it a 9 for Palace. Our performance. Anytime you go away to a London rival, let's not realize Arsenal are 14 or 15 games unbeaten in Arsenal derbies, in London derbies. And not just that, but I think they've won 11 and drawn 3. So that's just crazy. That's impeccable. Cam says 8.5. Big shout out to Franz. She couldn't make it tonight. I know African Guna wanted to hook up with her. You was watching her the other night. It says, "What's up, guys? Hope you got my message." Yeah, I got your message, Apollo. Next time, don't worry. We'll do a stream next week, and hopefully we'll be able to catch up then. Shout out to you as well. And guys, if you haven't subscribed to her channel, please go and subscribe. She does a lot of art on the channel, which I absolutely love. She streams regularly, more than I do, actually. So yeah, if you want to really get some update news on our Easy Girl and just help her channel grow, please, guys. She is in the forum, by the way, so you'll be able to talk to her on a daily basis when she's in there. But yeah, good to see what you guys. I think we're pretty much fair about on all that. Unfortunately, this is where the narrative is going to change. The Fulham game, I am going to give Fulham a 4 out of 10. Now, there was a feeling that we could have done better simply because Arsenal were in a position from the manager that he had managed this game so well. He made key substitutions that came because we were 1-0 down, guys. Arteta's the one that turned the tide. He made the subs on, and then in the dying minutes, Nketiah was the guy that put us 2-1 up. We were sailing, and then Saka gave the ball away. And a bunch of individual errors, which have pretty much plagued our defensive record all season. And Palhinha went down there in the 87th minute and scored and earned Palace a point, and which was really disappointing. So that's why just the sheer sloppiness. I mean, maybe 4's a little bit too low, but that was a game where we should be walking away with 3 points, and I don't think there's any excuses. Your thoughts, South African Guna?
Apart from the Lens game, this is the worst game of the season so far. So second worst game of the season for me, especially when you see how other teams have just been walking all over them. I think Chelsea spanked them 4-1. I mean, if we had won that game, we would have been top of the league. Would have been 4 points ahead of Man City. So yeah, look, at least we didn't lose the game. We're still undefeated, right? So, but yeah, always when you come back from 1-0 down, you're going into the final stages of the game, and then you concede. I think 4 is fair, considering how bad they are. I think we should have definitely won that game, and I'm hoping that in the reverse fixture we make amends, and I need 3-4 goals as a punishment.
Fran said you remember it so well. I had forgotten most of it. Yeah, that's why I think it's good for me to just run through this. 18 says Fran is so awesome. She is, my friend. She is awesome. Check out her artwork. Her channel has got links to the website, and the website you can see all the artwork there. I think we'll have to talk to Fran about how much some of the stuff costs as well. But I'm sure if you go to the website or just message her, then she'll be able to let you know how much it costs. And then delivery and all that stuff as well. She says, giving away the win, it was a 10 men. Yeah, it's so disappointing. That's the worst thing about it. They went down to 10 men. G has gone.
I actually completely even forgot about that. But yeah, that makes that makes even the 4 more justified.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. That's why we're revisiting the game. So for me, I think we're all pretty much around the 5 mark on that. And then we go to the next one, which is some will arguably say was our best game of the season. I know Charles Watts was talking about it on his channel today. I'm still going with the Man City game. I think that was incredible. Maybe the whole experience with me sitting with the Artetas and everything was the reason why the Man City game was special. But this game, guys, let's revisit this game. Rashford scored first, in terms of Onana being sort of press resistant and catching us out. And then the adjustments Arteta made in that game to make sure that they weren't doing that anymore. Ten Hag had one plan going into that game. And in the second half, when Arteta switched it, they just ran out of ideas. And it was a Man United side that specifically just came to the Arsenal's home ground and just looked blunt. The poorest I've ever seen. The fact that we're sitting now waiting to counter-attack, it was embarrassing. This is Man United we're talking about. And it was embarrassing to see the game plan just waiting to suck us in with the counter-attack. But United thought, guys, they had snatched all 3 points when Garnacho's 88th minute goal was cancelled. It was ruled out for offside. And then Arsenal scored twice in stoppage time. It was absolutely a dramatic, fantastic victory. The Declan Rice deflected shot, which gave Arsenal the lead. And then substitute Gabriel Jesus came on, and it was such a brilliant goal. I think a lot of people underplay how good that goal was that Jesus scored. There were some frustrations as well. Havertz missed the open goal, and so did Saka. Saka as well was straight at the goalkeeper. Havertz miskicked his. So it was a little bit demeaning saying that it was a competitive game, because honestly, Havertz and Saka should have put this game out of sight.
Kill the
We
game,
should have
yeah.
won. Yeah, we should have had 4 or 5 goals past them. But I'm going for a 9 on that one, guys. And let African Guna, let us know what your score is on that one.
Yeah, best game of the season, 9.5 for sure. For me personally, I was watching this with a friend, and we were in the TV room watching it together, sitting on the couch. And obviously, when Rashford scored, he celebrated. And before he even knew it, Odegaard scored, and then I celebrated. And then obviously the Garnacho offside. That was just, I mean, he overreacted. I told him it was offside. Eventually, it was obviously called as an offside. He sat down. And ironically, I swear to God, when the corner was about to happen, I was telling him, Declan Rice, watch Declan Rice, watch Declan Rice. And Declan Rice scored, and I lost it. I jumped all over him, and he was just quiet. He was just sitting there. He had nothing to say. And then when Jesus scored as well, I mean, like, it was a beautiful day for me. One of the best days, obviously, so far this season, just in the manner that we won. And as you said, obviously, you know, we could have killed off the game, but I think the way we won it was better. You know, just the fact that they thought they snatched it because they played so badly. They thought they snatched it. And, you know, they have a lot of hope on Garnacho as well, right? And it's kind of like when Rashford came on the scene and then he scored his first goal against Arsenal. There was kind of that, you know, feeling from United fans that Garnacho was going to score against Arsenal, and that was going to kind of, you know, kickstart his career, because he doesn't start all the games, but, you know, they are looking at him as the new Saka for them, right? That's their star boy. So, no, it was just beautiful scenes. And the Gabriel Jesus goal, I mean, the meme, right, that was created after that.
Oh, when he sliding up the
a few
stadium.
days ago. Yeah, exactly. I actually saw it a few days ago, and it reminded me just how amazing that feeling was. So definitely, and we've been beating United, you know, in the past few seasons. We've been getting it over them. I think it was only one season where, obviously, when they just Rashford scored those 2 goals, you know, counter-attack. But other than that, United is just a counter-attacking team. They're, you know, one-dimensional. If Rashford's not on it, they really have nothing, right?
You want to hear the joke? That's the only goal he scored this season.
Rashford.
Yeah. One goal in 8 games, and that was the only one.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think personally, when I'm watching United games, I think there's a lot of pressure on him. Like, he's trying too much. Like, he's going for the shots almost every time. And I mean, it's his trademark, right? Everyone knows what he's going to do. He's going to cut inside. He's going to go for the top right corner. And it's easy to defend now. And if that's not working, United really don't have anything else. And then on top of that, they have a goalkeeper like Onana, who, by the way, we almost signed a few seasons ago. And now I'm so happy, obviously, that didn't happen, because he looks terrible.
Yeah. I mean, they paid 50 million for him, and we got Raya for 3 million on loan. It's ridiculous. I want to talk about this comment here. Fran says that match happened on our birthday. It was beautiful. So for some of you who don't know, she has a twin sister. I know. It shocked me when I saw it on the channel. I was like, is this a camera trick? No, it's actually her sister. And her sister's a Man United fan. So Fran had such a great day that day. I'm actually jealous that she had a great day. She also says, guys, that she's given 101 forum members a discount on any of her stuff, the drawings and stuff. So that would be really good. I can't wait. I want to actually do a show with her where we go through like quite a lot of her drawings.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Because I just love all that stuff. And me, like, a sucker, I'll probably buy.
We're suckers, right? We're suckers for anything that has the word Arsenal on it. Literally, you could sell us a tissue with the word Arsenal on it, and we'd probably buy it. It's bad.
Babu says Rashford and Havertz both have 1 goal, 1 assist. People should take it easy on Havertz. And the thing is, he hasn't started every game, Havertz.
Yeah.
But the Man United game, I think I gave you. Like, if I didn't, I'll do it again. Emerson's given that at 8.5. G is given that at 10. 18's given that at 9. I already done G. 10. Cam's given that at 10. 10. Yeah, so a lot of high marks there for the Man United game. Yeah, a lot of hardness. Next game, guys, is going to be the Everton game. Let me just delete some of these while I'm doing it. So I can carry on. Here we go. Hey, guys. Guys, Merseyside is a place that Arsenal haven't won in 5 years in the league. Shocking. And they for this game, guys, they dug deep, and I thought that they deserved to win. It was David Raya's first game, and he showed the major differences between him and Ramsdale playing the ball at the back, the way he came off his line for set pieces and crosses to claim them, really eased the defense. And Martinelli's sweeping first half finish, which was narrowly ruled offside because of the Nketiah in the build-up, which had nothing to do with the play because it came off one of their players. So again, another goal that we were robbed with, Afkaguna. And again, officiating's becoming a common theme for Arsenal. But given the past results here, this was a test that they passed comfortably. So for me, I'm going to give this a 9. I mean, we've played some of our worst football at Anfield and Goodison Park over the years. So this really was a mental thing for me. This game was a mental challenge. Lafkaguna, what do you say about that one?
No, I think you're bang on with almost all your points. I share the same views. I think 9, obviously last season we lost to them in poor fashion, 1-0. And we reversed it. We broke the hoodoo. And we finally got one over them to keep up with the momentum. So I think one of the final mental blocks that we had, I think there's another few. We still need to win at Anfield. But I mean, and we still need to win at the Etihad under Arteta. But I mean, this was definitely one of them. And so, we got over the hurdle. And 9 out of 10. I think it was one of the more nervous ones I was, just because knowing our history. And we managed to get over the line. So, I give it a 9.
Excellent. So let's take a look and see what everyone is saying there. 18 has given that an 8. Cam has given that an 8.5. G has given that a 9. And Emerson has given that an 8. He says tricky fixture, and yet again Everton's game plan did not work. It was a tough one.
Usually quite a physical game when we play Everton, right? They try to push us around, but I want to say, unfortunately for rivals, Arsenal's not a pushover team anymore. The average height of our team is like 6 foot. You know, like you have Declan Rice, you have Saliba, Gabriel. Like we are a big, strong team now, and I think that is underrated of why we've become so much more competitive in games. Is because we're more athletically in tune with the players that we recruited and the players that we have on the pitch.
Yep, very, very true. So, guys, before I go on to, where are we? That would be Tottenham. Before I go into Tottenham, I want to talk about the poll. You guys put a poll up, and remember, this is not me, this is you. We talked about a few things. Who was the man of the match against Arsenal? Funny, when I did my video, you guys saw the player ratings there, and the Saliba one was wrong. So I did say on that video, he was my man of the match. A lot of people went for Declan Rice. The team went for Declan Rice. I did as well. Yep, so did Sky Sports went for Declan Rice. But for me, I went for Saliba. So let's see what you guys said. You guys said 22% Martinelli, 3% Gabriel, 43% Saliba, 21% Declan Rice. So funny, you had Martinelli over Declan Rice, you guys. And then 12% for Jesus. Now, the reason, obviously, why I went for Saliba was quite obvious. It's because he didn't allow the best striker in the world to even have a sniff at goal, and not just in this game, but the same in the Charity Shield as well. So it wasn't luck. It wasn't just one game. Over a plethora amount of games, this guy has just been dominating Haaland. And so for me, if you didn't have Saliba doing a job like that, then it would have been extremely difficult. And that's the reason why I gave him my man of the match. And just go and look at the replays of Saliba. Type in YouTube Saliba versus Man City. Then you can see he just did not give him he was on him. You know, he bumped him twice. He shouldered him to the floor on another occasion just to rough him up and let him know. And when you looked at Haaland walk off the pitch, he was so frustrated. He was angry. I'll tell you, I've never seen Haaland like that before, ever. And when you consider that this is the lowest XG that he's had in his entire career, twice with the same defender, man, I tell you, that's levels.
I think we're not giving enough credit to Gabriel here. Look, I totally I agree as well, right? Saliba is just a different animal. You know, I said when you had the podcast with Fran, I mentioned that I think Saliba could have started for us 2 years ago. Maybe that first loan year, okay, cool, yeah, that makes sense. But I mean, the year after that, he could have immediately come and played for us. But that's in the past. But yeah, totally, completely. And I personally think Haaland knows before he comes into the game, he's going to have a tough match. I think against majority of teams nowadays, he goes in there licking his lips because he knows he's going to have a field day. But I think specifically with this game, he knows Saliba has his number, and then you have Gabriel there, who's kind of the aggressive one. So you have Saliba, who's calm, authoritative, he's strong as well, but then you have Gabriel, who's cleaning up as well. And the two of them, I mean, just the pictures that you see of them celebrating after the game tells you everything. It's a partnership for me. So yes, Saliba, incredible, but I think Gabriel also is being underrated here because I think it was both of them who did a good job. And that partnership, I think it's the best partnership I've seen in my lifetime as an Arsenal fan. I think it's better than the Mertesacker-Koscielny partnership in my eyes. Statistically, not there yet because obviously they haven't played as many games. But from the eye test and from just emotionally, I could connect with them much more. So yeah, I think we have to give some credit to Gabriel as well. Sorry, so I wanted to also add on why I chose Rice as my man of the match. I think obviously Martinelli, because he scores the goal, right? It's kind of an obvious man of the match. But for me, Rice clears the ball off the line in the first 10 minutes. Yeah. I'm sorry, if that goes in, we lose the game. And, we can maybe touch on the David Raya stuff. I know because you and Fran were like totally for him. I wasn't. I mean, look, I think he's amazing. He's great. But he really got me upset. I was on the sofa and I yelled. I was like, F off when he did that. Because if that goes in, I think we lose the game. The game is completely over. Because I think if Man City scores first...
But that was Gabriel's fault, right? He should have never given him the ball.
Fair, but I think as a goalkeeper who's so good, just clear it. Even if you kick it out, it's fine. I think he was just being way too patient, way too relaxed. And it wasn't to my liking. I think overall he had a great game, but that specific... situation, it's just such small margins, right? So if he did get it wrong, because they could have hit the post and gone in, it was
I know.
Really close. And I think it would have just thrown the whole game plan out of the window. So it was quite frustrating for me. But yeah, so I think Rice is underplayed. Though some of the tackles he made, I think people are saying that he played a lot of he was more defensive, but I disagree. In the second half, I saw him playing as the right winger at one point, right? And I mean, that shows that he was getting the flexibility from Arteta to play more than just on the left side, because this was one of the first times I was seeing him on the right side. So it means he had the ability to just kind of be where he wanted. And yeah, man, I mean, it's no surprise you spend 105 million on one of the best center midfielders in the world, and then you go and beat Man City. It's quick maths.
I mean, isn't it crazy? We've got David Raya is the best goalkeeper statistically. We don't want to talk about stats now, guys. Yeah. He's the best goalie statistically in the Premier League. William Saliba is the best centre back in terms of defending, drills, not being dribble pass. Yeah, he's ranked number 1. And then you've got
pass accuracy. Rice. I mean, you name it.
And then you've got Declan Rice, number 1 in the league, interceptions, drills, recoveries. So, guys, this is our team. And not is it just our team, guys, but it's our spine. It's our spine. It's running right from the goalkeeper, right and through into the midfield. You've got guys who were the best in the league at doing that. That is incredible. But I did want to touch on the Ivan Toney thing, which everybody was talking about today. So I put a poll out for you guys just to see where your hearts and minds is. I said, deal, sign Ivan Toney. And you guys, 60% of you said that you would bag him, which is basically the narrative in the fan base, I'm guessing. 13% said, no, let's stay with what we've had. And 27%, which is what I would say, is don't waste the money. Use it on Victor Osimhen. Use that money on him. Because believe me, guys, Brentford, they're going to play the game. They're not going to settle for 50, 60 million. They're going to want a ton.
And everyone knows that Arsenal's a good team now, so we're going to get charged a premium from now on, because that's just how it is. And we have cash. We're good. No one wants to make us better. You want one of our best players? Okay, pay the money that we're asking for.
Yeah, and the only problem there is the FFP is going to be a thing. So if nothing drastic happens in January, the new year, and I'm talking about money
by June.
Yeah. then obviously this is something that's probably going to happen next year. Because remember, guys, Ossiham is actually playing again. So he's not sitting out or anything like that. He's playing.
From my understanding, he signed with a new agency, and that agency have spoken to Brentford to see if they can get permission to start speaking with Arsenal on personal terms. And that was the news that came out today.
Right, guys, looks like you guys are way ahead of me on Spurs. You're way ahead of me on Spurs. So first of all, let's see what you guys are saying. Fran's saying Gabriel is so underrated. He is.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you look at what them two are doing. The age, one's 22, one's 24. I think he's 25. He's just turned 25 now, Gabriel. I might be wrong. Correct me on that. But you've got these guys for the next 6-7 years. I mean, it's just incredible. It's just mind-boggling.
There is no reason for them to leave. They're playing in what will be the best team in the world. Once we win the Prem, once we win the Champions League. I mean, there's no reason for them to leave. And that goes, I think, beyond them. It goes to Odegaard, it goes to Saka, it goes to Martinelli, Ben White. I mean, our entire team, really, there is no reason for them to leave. To go seek, for ambition or all the excuses we heard, with the Sanchez, the RVP, the Nasri, Clichy, Ibue, all those players, they all left because they didn't think Arsenal was ambitious. And that's no longer the case, which is great. I mean, for the next 5-6 years, we're set.
Yeah, and the thing is, let's go through you guys' comments first. What's this? This is right. Emerson is saying 7 out of 10 in the Spurs match. That's probably the highest that we've seen there. He says first team to match us player for player in all positions. And Fran's saying big up Jack. Jack is in the house, everybody. Jack Stone says hit the like button. Yeah, I don't normally ask everybody to hit the like button. I think it's something everybody should already know. But yes, one of the things, maybe I need to get better at doing that. G has gone for 6.5 against Spurs. 18's gone for 4 out of 10 against Spurs. Cam has gone for 5 out of 10 against Spurs. Ooh, okay. So yeah, some people there not happy at all. Cam saying, Fran, my point is that we are not necessarily better than last year. I think the sample size currently is too small to make a clear conclusion that we are clearly a worse team. Yeah, guys, how can we be a worse team when we got more points than what we had last year? I mean, isn't it a scary thought that the team is on an uphill trajectory? Yeah, because we've not had players, fit. Yeah, Thomas Partey's been out. Yuri and Timber's not back to the new year. Guys,
Martinelli.
We are not. Yeah, Martinelli is injured as well. Guys, we are not at our best, and there's no embarrassment or shame to say that we are not at our best, but we are going to be getting better. And the fact that we have got more points now than we did last year, and we've got a ceiling to climb. I think that we should be in good stead at the moment. So it's a strange one from you, Cam. And then Fran said she was talking about the goal. Yeah. 100%. Yeah, so for me, guys, I don't really want to talk about this one. But yeah, this was Arsenal games, and they should have won it. And the errors really undid us. We had the open goal by Jesus, which all he's got to do is slot it. I don't know what he's thinking. This is Jesus. This is a seasoned international 4-time Premier League winner. He scored 94 goals in 240 games for City, and then he gets in that position, and I don't know what happened. I don't understand what happened. It was deer in the headlights moment, and he blew it. But not just that, but the fact that we had the goal given away by Jorginho as well, and Spurs, we made it easy for them. If you listen to their fans, they say, yeah, we should have won. Yeah, we dominated you. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? And they're even coming out saying, guys, hear this. This is the best one. This is the best one. You'll love this one. Spurs fans are saying, Maddison's better than Odegaard. And I've had to send messages, and I'm like, hold on, bro. This guy, hold on. This guy got his team relegated. He scored 12 goals. I think it was 4 years ago. He had 10 goals last season. And to his,
credit,
he had 9 assists. But you're talking about Odegaard who had 15 goals that tied Fabregas and Frank Lampard's record for attacking midfielders. He tied that record with 9 assists, and then he was a Ballon d'Or nominee. And you want to compare Maddison? Are you mad?
They're just excited. Let them be excited. They haven't had a player like that in a while, right? And I mean, to be fair, we would be the same way if we signed him and he had. I mean, he's been phenomenal for them, right? He's carrying them right now. Because Son didn't have a great start to the season, he was carrying them, and a lot of their new players as well, like Udogie. You know, I've been watching him. He looks like a solid player as well. So yeah, I mean, look, they're getting carried away. Let them get carried away because we know they're not going to be able to sustain this. They're going to easily drop, by the halfway point of the season. I think maybe they'll become in contention for top 4, but they're not going to be in a title race. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's just shocking. I mean, I think everybody who's an Arsenal fan would love to forget about that game. Because
I also give it a 5. I think we threw it away. The Jorginho mistake was just bad, and it was such a late point in the game. We didn't have much time to recover, and we could have still ended up winning in extra time. But yeah, we just couldn't find the winner. I think that felt like drop points, and that and that felt like. That felt like a loss, right? And it was right before I think we had a break or something. I think that was the Man U after the Man U game. It was the international break, but it felt like it just bad. It was just bad. Like the energy fell down. I started questioning a little bit. Are we as good as we are thinking we are? And we bounced back after, right? So look, I mean, now we're still undefeated, but when you look back, it's like we drew when we were leading in 2 games and such small margins. It feels like hopefully at the end of the season, these don't come back to bite us, because last season, if we had beaten Man City once, or if we had gotten proper VAR or refereeing decisions in one of the games, we could have won the league. So, every game matters and every point matters. So yeah, I think we'll do them when we go to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Yeah, because I think they'll be worn down, and I think we'll just be powering up because our squad is so strong.
Specifically in this game, I think Trossard and Nketiah were not to be seen. But yeah, I don't know if you want me to touch on Nketiah. I've been fighting Nketiah's case actually recently, and I've been getting a lot of heat for it. People calling for Nelson to start over him, ridiculous. Nketiah has been running his socks off.
He's number 1 in the team in pressures. Number 1 in the team. He's number 1 in the team in pressures. Yeah, in pressures.
Yeah, and you know how I felt against Nketiah. I thought it was his time to go, and now I think he's a decent squad player. I'm happy to have him. I think he contributes to the team when he needs to. I don't think he's that starting striker for us, but I think he deserves to get minutes and deserves to be a part of the team when we need him. And he scored some goals, and
created 2 penalties.
He won the penalty. He won the penalty. Yeah, he's won 2 penalties. I mean, he's playing his part. So I think people slowly will turn on his side like I have.
Yeah. And so which team are we on now?
So after Spurs,
Bournemouth.
Yeah,
Bournemouth. So guys, this for me, I mean, it's Kai Havertz. We were just dancing all the way through this game, wasn't we? As the goals were going in, we were doing the calypsos, turning around, drinking, and being happy, eating our potato chips and all of that. It's just
singing South Africa's finest song.
Yeah, that's true. So it was a good. Eddie won another penalty. We just talked about that. Saka opened the scoring, heading in the rebound from Gabriel Drew. Look, guys, this game was pure dominance. If a lot of Arsenal fans were saying this season, why can't we score 3, 4, or 5 goals? Why don't we have a game where we just blow a team away? This was it. This was the game, guys. And I'd like to see teams. I'd like to see how many teams, the African Guna, will go to Bournemouth and score 4 goals like we did.
Agree. And we had to punish them for what they did to us last season when they scored in the first freaking 20 seconds. We had to make up for that. But I think something that stood out for me specifically in this game is the power of the fans. And I think sometimes the fans that go to games, they don't realize the impact that they have, where international fans around the world are sitting by the TV, hearing the chants, especially a new chant, and picking it up immediately. Because I was there in front of the TV singing the Kai Havertz song, right? And I think sometimes people forget how that translates and the bigger impact that has. It'd be incredible to have video footage of homes around the world, because I promise you could probably make a compilation of people dancing and singing that song. And it carried on, pretty much the entire second half. It was all about Kai Havertz. It felt like a huge lift had, come across. Some people would say it was a charity case, but hey, we didn't really care at that point, right? We were dominant in the game. We could have even had Raya take the damn penalty if we really wanted to. So I think, rival fans are just sour because they wanted to keep the agenda that we paid a lot of money for Havertz and we weren't getting any returns, at least from a goals or assists perspective, not from, tactical perspective, a running perspective, a closing down perspective, winning the balls from headers perspective, all the other facets of the game that a lot of people don't talk about. So yeah, this was the Kai Havertz game, and I think specifically for me, I think it was great to see that we have multiple penalty takers, and that's something I called for from last season, because as great as Saka is, we want several players to be able to go up there and confidently take a penalty and score, every single time. That makes a great team. So for me, I think it reminds me of the old Arsenal where we had multiple penalty takers. It's only in recent times where we only had one penalty taker because we just didn't have the players to do that. And now we do.
I think the rules were different. Under Invincibles, whoever got the foul would choose who would take the penalty, which was weird because you had Perez giving it to Henry and Henry giving it to Ljungberg and Ljungberg giving it to Son. So it was all over the place. I like how it is now where the captain makes a decision on who takes the penalty. So Odegaard will pick up the ball and whoever he walks to, which is normally Saka, he will give the ball to. And people have said that. Even sometimes they've seen Saka pick up the ball, and what does he do? He gives it to Odegaard because it's Odegaard's decision. Yeah. So I like how it is now.
I think they even were giving it to Jesus, and then they decided, you know what, actually, let's give this to Kai Havertz. And it's funny because even the first penalty, I was already saying, give it to him, because even as an Arsenal fan, I just wanted to get over it.
He's a really good penalty taker.
He is a good penalty taker. So yeah, when the second opportunity came, I said, hey, you better give it to him because we need to get over this hump of just this talk, in the neighborhood that Kai Havertz hasn't had a goal or assist. So, and now he's had both.
And let's not forget as well, the season before Jorginho came to us, he had 9 penalty conversions for Chelsea.
Yeah.
So, and a few of them against us. So we know how good he is. Fran said, well noticed. I didn't realize that. Let's see what you guys gave the Bournemouth game. Well, let's have a look. Emerson's given the Bournemouth game an 8.5. G's given it a perfect 10. 18's given a 9.5.
I'd give it a perfect 10 if we scored more, because I think we kind of.
But how much more, man? How much more? Like you score 5 and you won 6. You score 6, you won 7, you score 7, you won.
I won 6 goals. We used to do that under Wenger. We used to put 5-6 goals against teams.
Yeah. Oh God, that's absolutely excellent. And so, guys, the last game is obviously Man City, and that was my favorite game. And I think that was the best result for me because we've beaten Man City. Man United. How many times has Man United won at the Emirates? Exactly. So for me, it was like Man City. We ain't beaten this team in 8 years. 2015. This was the result that showed Arsenal could win ugly. Also, tactically, for me, this probably is the best tactical game, along with Newcastle away last season where we won 2-0. Making the key changes to manage the game against the best team in Europe. That can be a key ingredient that we can use because the approach came from the Charity Shield. So the fact that City has only scored a single goal against us in 2 games, guys. It's not 90 in 180 minutes. Actually, I think you have to add on the extra time for the Charity Shield. So in nearly 200 minutes, City have scored 1 goal against us. They averaged 3.6 goals against Arsenal in the last 5 years. And they barely are getting a sniff at goal. And for me, guys, look, it all comes down to what David Raya did, the way how we enveloped into the game. And as I said before, the fans didn't help. The fans were showing signs of impatience, and it was pulling them out of the game plan, which actually he did well to fight against, because we've seen Aaron Ramsdale heed himself to the fans. You know, the fans start rushing him, and Ramsdale starts to rush it, and then that's where the mistakes are. David Raya wasn't having any of that. He ignored all the negative, the impatience from the fans, and he carried on with what Arteta told him to do, and it paid off for him. The balls that he had to Jesus breaking the press really caught City off guard. And as I said, in the second half, he just had such a good game. But yeah, he started the first 20 minutes, he was shaky, but he came out of it. It wasn't a difficult... Guys, think about it. He's played for Bournemouth and all these other teams. This was the biggest game of his career. Brentford. This was the biggest game for David Raya's career. And that's the reason why, like, he must have been in all sorts in the first 20 minutes. So look, I commend him for being able to show the stones to stay within the game plan. And look, Arsenal, because of it, were well organized. They were resilient in defense. Saliba kept Haaland quiet. The hard work was rewarded with the winner from Martinelli. And I'm glad they gave it to Martinelli, because a couple of guys in the FA wanted to give it as an own goal. And apparently
it was going on target, so it has to be.
So it has to be in, exactly. So well done for that. But for me, guys, that's a 10 all day long. La African Guna.
It has to be a 10. We slayed the beasts. We slayed the beast. Look, we know when we play Man City, we're taking 3 goals, we're taking 2 goals minimum. I mean, that has become an expectation when every single season you lose to this team for so many years. You just become numb, right? It's kind of one of those games. Yeah, at the beginning of the game, you have great expectations. You're going in because every game you want Arsenal to win. But as soon as that first goal goes in, you're like, I knew it. And then it's all downhill from there. And I think this game was a bit different. I mean, originally with the tactics or the mind games that Arteta played with the Saka news saying that he was ready and he traveled with the team. And then the team news came out and he wasn't there. And I was like, oh my God, no, my confidence just got shot. I was obviously really happy that Martinelli was on the bench. I mean, everyone on this forum and this channel knows my feelings about Martinelli, my favorite player, even though Declan Rice is growing on me. But I mean, from an attacking perspective, my favorite player from the get-go, I knew he was going to be a superstar. And yeah, I also knew that Trossard wasn't going to, do so much. So I wanted him to come on in the second half. But I mean, I think just talking on the David Raya stuff, definitely agree with you, was the biggest game of his career. I think he's very calm. I think even some of the punches from crosses, he gets them really far out. He collects the ball. Like, he gives me some more assurance. But there was a part of me that felt like the old Emery Arsenal where we're trying to play out the back. And if we get caught, it's game over. And there was a little bit of frustration to say, hey, we're really they're pressing us really hard. Let's just go long. Or, sometimes David Raya, I felt like he was just giving it away, right? And, maybe that's because they were just closing all the avenues down that we had to give it away. But it was just a very nervy game because it felt like this was the only opportunity after a long time to beat them. No Rodri, no De Bruyne. Haaland had been shaky the past few games, had lost the last 2 games in a row, so this was the perfect timing. And I think overall, it was a very boring game. But I think the way we won it makes it a 10. And the fact that we won in just period makes it a 10 because obviously we haven't beaten them, as you said, since 2015. So I think, great. I think I hear your sentiment about the fans, but I do think the fans played a good part in the fact that around the 60th to 70th minute, 80th minute, I kept hearing the fans back to team. And it was kind of like this feeling like, oh my God, we've never actually gotten to the 70th minute, been 0-0 with Man City. That already was an improvement. And the closer we got to the 90th minute, we were like, hey, hang on, we actually can steal this. And we did, right? I mean, Thomas Partey with the ball, it's clear for me that he needs to be starting every game with Rice for me. I'm sorry. I think Havertz needs to come out of the starting 11 and he needs to be an impact sub depending on the tactics, depending on the game state, etc. But the 3 midfield generals for me has to be Rice, Partey, and Odegaard. That's my three in midfield, and he proved that with the long ball. Tomiyasu, we know since the moment he came into this Arsenal team, he wins like 90% plus of his aerial duels, right? He heads it down. Kai Havertz, playing the traditional 9 role, holds the ball, puts it out for Martinelli to shoot.
So I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that. I want to touch on that. I think Arsenal fans need to remember that when Tomiyasu was brought into the team and he was starting in the right back, and everybody, Sky, BT, BBC said that he's a top 3 right back in the league. What was Arsenal's tactic? Ramsdale used to hit the ball 70 yards to him, and he used to head it on for Saka. And so what we're seeing now, in my opinion, and I'd always mention when he man-marked Salah out of the game last season when we beat Liverpool. For me, he's the most versatile player that we have. He can play all across the back line. And he's now showing that he's got inverted skills beyond Kieran Tierney. Because Kieran Tierney was a stay-at-home left-back, and he was a very good one. But obviously he didn't make it in the system because he couldn't play to that inverted level. You see Tomiyasu in the last 3 games he's played, guys. And where has he been? Look at his heat map. He's been all over the place. So
couple points on that one. I think Timber is going to give him a run for his money because I think Timber is almost kind of similar to him. He can play across the back 4. And I think technically he's better, in my opinion. I mean, from the preseason alone.
He starts.
Yeah, he starts. He 100% starts. And I think the important thing about Tomiyasu is squad depth. He could be a starter, and we're bringing him on as a sub, and that tells you everything you need to know. It makes it so much stronger, right? Because Tomiyasu started for us 2 seasons ago, and now he's been demoted as a squad player, but he's still so good. I think one of the frustrations I want to share about this game is I know Jesus worked really hard. I think he played really well, but there's some frustration for me about him shooting or him being a bit more decisive, or the decision making when he gets around the player, lay it off at the tee of the box for someone else to shoot, or just shoot yourself. He takes too long, and then they pressure him, and then it goes for a corner. Like at least 3 times that happened for me, and that's being like super critical, right? But this is like that part of the game that for if Saka is injured and Jesus needs to play there, and overall, just for Jesus to become a better player, I think he needs to add that to his game because he played right wing for Man City a lot, so he should be better at that. Maybe it was just specifically this game, but I also think against Lens, that was a frustration for me. And I think something that people are not talking about because we won against Man City and because we're playing so well, I'm having this fear that we are not shooting enough. It feels like we're doing the horseshoe stuff again, where especially in the Champions League on Tuesday, we were not shooting. It was so obvious, and we know when we play against low blocks, we need to start shooting from long range. It's like so obvious, so obvious that we need to do that, and it's frustrating for me that we don't do that. We need to start adapting our game and realizing, okay, Declan Rice, start taking shots, taking long distance shots. We know you can do it. Against Lens, he did everything else, but I wanted him to take that shot. And I don't know if it's an instruction not to do it, and it's just, play the next pass. But we need to start that changing that dimension of our game, because it makes us more unpredictable, because at a certain point, they're going to know, let's just sit back. And then they're not going to be ready for that long distance shot, whether it's Odegaard, who tried it on Tuesday, but, it didn't really come off. But I think it needs to happen from more of the team. And it needs to be take the shots.
Did you know that
we want to pass it into the net? We want to play Wenger ball. That's what it is.
Did you know that 15% of Frank Lampard's goals were deflected? Steven Gerrard was 12%. And they scored a lot of goals. All they did was just shoot. And the thing is, Martinelli showed what happens when you drive the ball into the box. If it comes off somebody, that's great. Because it's still, if it goes in, it's still a goal.
That's his character, and that's why we love him, because he's direct. When he gets the ball, the first thing he's thinking is, I'm going forward, I'm isolating you one-on-one, and I'm beating you. I mean, immediately when he came on, 2 players on him, what does he do? Nutmeg, goodbye. He takes 2 players out the game immediately, which Trossard didn't do in 45 minutes.
And I have to say, in Martinelli's defense, and all of you would know this, because the season before, when Thomas Partey got man of the match and went to African's Nations Cup, and he played Man City off the park, and Xhaka and Gabriel threw us under the bus, and we ended up losing that game against Man City. We outplayed Man City in both games, and we lost. And last season, what was the most disappointing thing for us is that we didn't even turn up. And the African Guna talked about 5 minutes ago the mentality of the winning mentality. And last season, we just didn't have that. And I know this personally, that Arteta has sent the players film and footage and all this stuff on what happened against Man City last year. And when they came out to play Man City, this is the reason why we talk about how physical Saliba was with Haaland. They were trying to prove a point. They were trying, because last year they turned up and it was men against boys. They were disinterested. There was no desire, no passion.
Yeah, but we also had Rob
Holding.
So I mean, look, as soon as we knew Rob Holding was playing against Haaland, we knew it was game over, and we saw that happen. And I think that's a big difference this season, both in the Community Shield game and the Prem game, is that Saliba was starting and Haaland was in his pocket, and they couldn't create any chances. So yeah.
So let's go with Emerson. Emerson's given that game a 9.5. He said, good all-round performance despite a few wobbles early on. Our defense done their job and the substitutions were key. Fran's given it a 10 again. She said, huge credit for Raya not to lose his head and keep it together. 100% agreed. And she talks about that in depth in her channel as well, guys. Cam's given it a 10. G's given it a 10. 80's gone 10, 10, 10, baby. It was, guys, as the African Guna said, we slayed the dragon.
They are the best team in the world, without a doubt. Yeah. We know that. And I think now the fact that we've beaten the best team in the world, that means we can beat anyone mentally. Even if we were thinking we could do that, now we've done it. It's a big difference when you think you can do it and when you actually do it. I think that's going to give a lot of confidence. And we're going to milk this for another week and a half, right? Probably even longer, to be fair. But I mean, yeah. What can any team in the world say to Arsenal fans? We beat Man City. What do you want to say to us? There's nothing you can say to us. Everyone's scared of us. I love it. And no one wants to give us credit. And there's all this, nonsense about the game. And, this was a completely different Arsenal we saw. One that can contain, one that is mature, one that is more experienced, one that is not rushed. And I personally think it would have been a bit disappointing if it was 0-0, but it would have still been an improvement. It would have been one of the first times in 12 games that we actually didn't concede against Man City, and we actually got a point out of there. And just getting the winner and taking the 3 points was just also sweet. You saw Kyle Walker and Haaland crying like
crying.
Fighting with the free kick coach and the set piece coach, and they're not used to this, right? Even Man City fans. I played some five-a-side yesterday, and I wore my Arsenal shirt proudly, and there were some Man City fans there, and they were still whining, and I just had a smile on my face.
Yeah, I had one guy at work who said to me, I was talking to him about the game, and after he got really annoyed, he said, anyway, football's a crap game anyway. I don't like it. He just said he's going to take it.
I know, right? They lose 2-3 games in a year, every year, and they cry. God. They have no idea what we've been through. Honestly, they have no idea. Such a spoiled club.
3 losses domestically in a row for them and 2 in the league. So, guys, we're going to talk about the biggest disappointment this year. I really had to think long and hard about this one because I tried to find a player and I couldn't find a player. Hold on, we've got one more here. We've got Sam. Sam, remember, if you click the waiver on the top of the heading, it says StreamYard allows me to show my name. If you click that twice, then when you post, it will actually show your name. Or you might not want people to know it's actually you that's posted. So either way, bro. But he says 9.5, we are less dynamic and erratic end-to-end, but have improved positioning and controlling phases of the game. This is the experience from last year and can be a good thing. I'd happily win the league 1-0 to the Arsenal in scrappy games than what I did. I absolutely agree with you. And this is the reason why we talk about Arsenal have the #1 defense in the league right now, letting in 6 goals in 8 games. And 3 of those goals came from mistakes by Arsenal players, Havertz, Saka, and Jorginho, and the other goal was against I'm gonna miss it now. The other goal was the Man United Rashford goal where Odegaard got fouled and it should have never. Is that the right one, or am I thinking about another game?
It is the Odegaard where he lost the ball. I don't know if he got fouled, but
no, I think that was that was a Fulham game, wasn't it? I believe it was a Fulham game. Yeah. So initially, when you look at 4 out of the 6 goals that we let in, really shouldn't have been let in. So I'm looking at this defense going, guys, we've got a championship winning defense here, man. we've got a championship winning the defense. So I would take that all day long. So I looked at the players and I struggled. So for me, guys, my biggest disappointment of the season, and let me know what yours is in the chat if you want, and I'll put it up on the screen. My biggest disappointment is rotation. For me, and look, let's give kudos. I think that Arteta is starting to change it up, especially when he rests Saka and gave Saka the rest. I think he's starting to change it up. We've seen Vieira coming to the team. We've seen Smith Rowe get some minutes. We've seen Nelson get some minutes, but it's not enough. It's not enough. So I think for me, guys, I'm going to say that rotation, and Gary agrees with me as well. Gary Singer, he couldn't make the podcast tonight, so he's given me a nice little list to go off as well. And me and him talk about it on all the streams. If you watch our watch-alongs, you hear me, Tony, Gary, all the guys, the panel talking about this guy should come off. We're 2-0 up or we're 3-0 up. You should give Smith Rowe. You put Smith Rowe on. Give Nelson a start. Saka's injured. Why are you starting him when Nelson can do a job? All these different things we've talked about, and we're not saying that he's not doing it. We're saying that he needs to do more because this is a long season. There's plenty of games to come. Utilize your squad. African Guna, what's your biggest disappointment this season?
I have 3. The first one is Timber injury. I look at it and he was just so good in preseason. It was so exciting, and
so
I think he would have contributed a lot to this team, irrespective of if he started or he was just on the bench and used kind of like the Tomiyasu substitution when we want to shore it up or we need to change tactically. I think he would have been that guy for us, and he could have changed some of the games for us. So I think that is the first biggest disappointment. The second one is that Smith Rowe isn't getting enough minutes, and I think it's over for him at Arsenal. I think the wider footballing audience knows that his value has dropped because it's quite clear and obvious. And I think obviously with Vieira jumping over him in the pecking order, again, I mean, that's another factor of why I think it doesn't seem like it's going to happen. I think he should have done better in the games that he played. That he had 2 opportunities. I think if he scores those opportunities, I think we're having a different conversation where Arteta is kind of forced to play him or giving more minutes because he scored. And I think it kind of justifies why he isn't playing when he doesn't score those opportunities. And the third disappointment for me, it has to be Kai Havertz, honestly. And that's just being, again, very like looking at the minor details. I think expectation was a bit higher. He's doing much better. I do see the positive contributions that he makes to the team, but I still am going to give it a bit more time. I'm still expecting a bit more from him. Hopefully the confidence keeps building with, the assist against Man City and the goal against Bournemouth. It needs to keep up. I mean, he needs to be contributing, just more in terms of goals and assists. The off the ball stuff is great. He's doing his job, but he needs to start now becoming a bit more clinical because we need those goals. Let's be real. Xhaka, as much as you and I didn't like him last season, he did contribute a lot in terms of the goals, and we need that from all over the pitch. I think I read a stat somewhere about top goal scorers, and there isn't one specific Arsenal player that's apart from Saka, right? And that again shows how this season we're spreading the goals around, and Kai Havertz needs to be part of that contribution. He needs to have probably double digits this year for me. So hoping that, again, that's being very critical, but I think, there was a lot of hype. We spent a lot of money, 65 million. Let's get it right. It's a lot of money. And I think we're still figuring out what his actual position is. I think it looks more like he should be the number 9 when Jesus is not there, or when we need to kind of just hoof it up and he needs to just hold it down. That seems like kind of the role that he's going to play in this team. But I'm hoping that in League Cup and FA Cup is like where he really takes the games by the scruff of the neck and he shows like he should be one of the best players on the pitch for us in those games because we're playing against, less impressive opponents, in my opinion, right? And even in the Champions League, look, our group it's not the easiest, but it's also not the hardest. Let's be real. I mean, we should cruise this group and we should still finish top of the group. So yeah, I think that would be the third one for me.
So G is saying, I think a lot of our attacking issues can be explained by not having Gabriel Jesus at centre forward. Yes, I agree with that. He's our starting forward, guys. Remember, a lot of people talk about Eddie, but Eddie's actually the reserve guy. Havertz comes in when Eddie gets tired, and Havertz is our third choice striker. Jesus, guys, is only playing in other areas because Martinelli has not been fit. So let's keep perspective on that. I answered these questions about Thomas Partey at right back at the start of the season, and I said he's only there because we had Timber injured and Zinchenko wasn't even fit. So let's not lose ourselves.
And we decided to take Gabriel out of the team for whatever reason. How stupid do we look now, right? Like, I mean, we still don't have access.
Well, not really. That should have happened, and
why should that happen?
I've talked to you about that off camera, and we can't discuss that on camera. So I've talked to you about that. Yeah. Okay. We've got here. Sam is saying 100% agree, Apollo, but injuries is still a concern. Well, we've had injuries. Me and African Gunnar, we've had injuries, bro. And people have come in, stepped up, and all this shows is the strength of the squad. We beat Man City without. You ask any fan out there from other teams who's Arsenal's best player, they'll say Saka. We didn't even have him. When we played Man City, we played the best team in the world, and we didn't even have our talisman. So
you know how many times we've had this conversation, even yesterday, right? Oh, they didn't have Rodri, they didn't have De Bruyne. Hold on a second, we didn't have Saka, who played 87 games in a row for us. Like, how else can you describe how important a player is to you when you play him 87 damn times in a row? I don't think I mean, that's a record for Arsenal. So
in 10 games this season,
and no Partey. I mean, come on.
Yeah, in 10 games this season, he's got 5 goals, 5 assists. He's the only player in Europe with 5 goals and 5 assists.
Yeah, he was the first one as well. Yeah,
the first one. That's Saka. That's how much.
And he isn't even at top gear, by the way. He hasn't really been top gear, and he's still putting in these numbers.
He's still putting in numbers. Cam says Reece just signed a new contract back in July until 2027. Play him. I agree. Look, you got no argument from me. It's Eddie is such a talent.
I want to touch on that one. What did you think of him on Tuesday when he came on last week? Lens. He came on to change the game, and he ran the ball out 3 times.
Yeah. I mean, like, nobody was great against Lens. I don't even.
I know, but we shouldn't make that an excuse because look, you're coming up from the bench, you're fresh. You should be the one injecting and lifting the team. That's your job, right? And if you're running the ball out, you're not really helping the team. What's the point of the substitution? So I personally think Arteta. I think it was an easy option to give him a new contract, and also we knew how much we were going to spend on Rice and Havertz, and we were not going to go spend another 50-60 million like the Kudus deal.
But let's not get away from the fact that Nelson's a very capable player. When he came on and replaced.
But I think Arteta pushes to play Saka because he's like, is Nelson, it's kind of a hit or miss. Sometimes he's doing really well. It's not consistent yet. And that's probably not his fault because he's not getting enough game time. But when he comes on, like in the Champions League, he can't be doing what he did on Tuesday. That was disappointing for me.
Because remember, in the League Cup, he won us the game and actually should have had 2 goals with the Havertz assist that he missed. And last year, guys, remember, he replaced Saka against Bournemouth, won us the game in the 94th minute, and then he came on against Nottingham Forest in 20 minutes and had 2 goals and 1 assist in that game. So
out of 38 games, we can't just say, he had like 3-4 really good games. It needs to be 10, 15.
He's not playing enough. He's not playing enough, which was down to my point. Cam says Eddie is such a talent and an asset to the team and one of the most hard-working. 18 says Eddie has had a hand in 4 goals in 8 games this season. What is he doing wrong? Jesus went 10 games without a goal and fans still loved him. Yeah, that's just like some people are just never going to change their opinion on him.
It's politics.
That's all it is. Sam says teams also sit deep into the space isn't always there. Many teams sit off us. Yeah, that's been the narrative this season.
And that's what I'm saying. We need to shoot from distance.
Yeah,
but that's what I'm saying. When this happens, we need to start shooting from distance because it's just not going to happen, right?
Yep. So, guys, second question again is who's been the team's best player? Well,
So
that
hard.
that's it's hard, but when I look at when I look at the stats,
Stats.
man,
Yeah.
yeah. Hold on, let me have a look here. Let's.
You don't
Have
even
I got
have
it?
to look.
Yeah.
You know who it is.
Well, a lot of people would say Saka. Yeah. A lot.
Yeah, without a
Yeah. A lot of
doubt.
people.
You can't even question.
Yeah. A lot of
5
people would be
goals, five
Saka.
assists. What do you want?
But
This
but,
kid
but
he's a unicorn. He's a
yeah.
unicorn. There's not going to be a player like him again for a while. He's going to reach Vinicius Junior, Haaland. Haaland maybe is a different type of player, but he's going to reach that type of level. He's still so young.
For,
You can even make a case for Saliba, but
yeah, my case is
I'm an
Saliba,
attacking
guys.
player, so I'm
He's
biased. I'm
broken.
going to say Saka.
He's broken, guys. Guys, I don't think you understand how important this. Show me a player in world football that has got 99 passes accurate, 100% aerial duels won, and 100%. Show me a play. I mean, this
Is this in
reminds
8
me.
games or 1 game?
Yes, it's in 8 games. This is this season. Yeah,
That's
guys,
crazy.
show me a player. We talk about Haaland as a clone. We talk about Haaland as a FIFA creator player because Haaland is broken. Well, what do you think this guy is? If you went on FIFA and you created the ultimate defender, he's right there. Look at those numbers. The numbers don't lie, guys. There's not a single player who can get past this guy. We've played Spurs, we've played Man United, we've played Man City. Yeah, it's not like we haven't played anybody. And no one's got past this guy. Come on, man. He's my player, guys. He, for me, is the epitome. And once he was out of the team last season, guys, we just fell off a cliff. And the season before that, when he got injured, what did we do? We fell off a cliff. Nah, man, he's my guy. He's my guy. Laughing Gaguna, yours is Saka, you said.
No, it's so hard. Like, that's what I'm saying. I can't even choose. I feel harsh because I want to say Saliba, I want to say Declan Rice, and I want to say Saka. Even Trossard needs a shout because he's been on fire apart from the last 2 games, but he was also on fire. So it has to be the overall team, man. The whole team is just amazing, and it's like I don't know what else to say. The whole team is amazing. Gabriel's amazing as well, right? We keep saying everyone is looking at Saliba, but it's also Gabriel, and I think Ben White. People don't talk about Ben White. He is such a good player. He's not a defender. I'm sorry. He's a utility man. He's like the best utility man I've seen. We talk about Tomiyasu being able to play across the floor. Ben White can play across the midfield. He can play across the defense. He can go and goal.
He can play the 6. He can play the 6 role, bro. He played the 6 role for 2 games.
Good. Just look at the nutmeg he did on Doku, right? Tell me any right back who does that. That's not a right back. A right back doesn't do that. That's not a normal, instinctive reaction of a defender or a right back is to go and nutmeg him and still retain the ball and play it like nothing happened. And this is like in the 84th, 85th minute or 87th minute or so. It was actually, 87th minute. It was after we scored and we're trying to retain the ball. And Odegaard as well. Look, I mean,
I know.
I had a comment on my Twitter the other day about how Odegaard is not good enough. He's not going to take us to the league. Like some nonsense. I know. I can't believe it. People think that when he doesn't create, he doesn't affect the team, but he runs so much. I'm so impressed. We say that Declan Rice has an engine. I'm sorry, Odegaard has an engine almost better than Declan Rice. He sets the press. I've seen him sprint like literally 4 players. So like the opposition team will make pass, and he sprints all the way till the last player gets the ball. And then that's incredible. That's incredible, right?
Because it galvanizes the team. It galvanizes the team.
100%. And he's shooting from distance more. I think sometimes he's doing a bit too much. There are some times, but it's very rare. Most of the time, he's making the right decisions. He's making the right plays. He's scoring the goals that we said was the only thing missing from his game. So I think that's right. Declan Rice, Odegaard, Saka, Saliba. Yeah, all of them, right? Even we haven't even talked about Raya, Ramsdale. I mean, the fact that we have 2 goalkeepers that good, that we don't really care who plays because we know whichever of them plays we're pretty much going to win anyways. I mean, that just shows you the levels of the team that we have.
Yep, that's true. So guys, let's have a look and see what we've got here now. Some comments on there as well. Teams sit deep, so the space isn't always there. Yeah, I think I read that one, and they're going to continue to do that. They're going to continue to do that. As I said, only Man City and Spurs have come out to play us, and we've seen what's happened in the Champions League. Teams have come out to do that. We've had some mixed results. PSV, we dominated them, and then Lens, we came out to try and play them, and they came definitely out to play us, and look what happened. So it's one of those things, guys. The season's just going to get more interesting. Whichever way we look at it, man, do we need to beat Chelsea away from home? I don't think any of the games are easy, and that's definitely not going to be easy because they're scoring goals now. So yeah, that for me is going to.
I think if we score early on, I think it quietens them down, and I think it's an easy game. If we let them get into the game, it could be tricky. I'm still undecided on Chelsea. The thing is, they have a lot of good players. There's just no chemistry.
That's right. Yep. Guys, this is a tough one as well. I think I'm going to go with Kai Havertz, and the reason why I'm going to go with him is because mentally, what happened with him at Chelsea last year, it ruined him, and I know this because Jorginho was talking to his agent about it. And the agent made a few comments as well, and they were saying a lot of those guys, like Jorginho's laughing because he left early. You know, he went in the January market. But what he was basically saying was a lot of those guys were emotionally destroyed. And remember, guys, these players won a Champions League with Chelsea. They won the biggest prize ever, and then they broke the team up for this. They spent $1 billion, broke that team up for a team that can barely score goals. Now, I think they're playing well now. They're better, but they definitely ain't going to finish in the top 4, let alone top 6. All of that's going to be a big ask for him. So I'm going to say it's going to be Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz left Chelsea distraught, emotionally broken, didn't know where his future was. And I think that at the end of this season, he is going to be uplifted in so many ways. And because the Arsenal fans love him. I think in the first month, we had a lot of divisiveness from the fan base. And after what
I
happened
think it still
against
exists, to be honest. I think we're jumping the gun. Yeah, I think it's coming closer, but I think it's still like 40-60 in his favor. And I'm hoping, as you say, I think we want him to do well. I think some people don't want him to do well, but I think realistic fans who love Arsenal, I mean, why wouldn't you want him to do well? I think, yeah, it's slowly getting closer to the 50-50 mark, but I still think there's more Havertz haters than lovers at the moment.
Yeah,
that's just me. Maybe it would be a good poll to put out.
Yeah, definitely. What about you though? Who's the player that you want to?
Nketiah is my most improved player this season. Consistent, running his butt off, even winning the penalties, being smart. Yeah, it has to be Nketiah for me because everyone else is just, you know what I mean, like. The level is so high with everyone else come from last season to this season. I can't say Saliba, I can't say Ramsdale, I can't say Gabriel, I can't say Ben White, I can't say Zinchenko, I can't say any of these players because they've been at this level. So for me, I think Nketiah was at this level at the tail end of last season, and I think he's carried it into the season, which is why I will say it's Nketiah for me. Like, look, even when he's not scoring or whatever, he's running his heart out. So I have to give it to him.
Excellent. Right. So let me just get the last thing we're going to look at now, guys. The last thing we're going to look at is the next 6 games, which are going to be crucial to everybody. Let me just get it up here. I haven't prepped it.
Can I say something in between when you bring that up? I just wanted to touch quickly on the Xhaka stuff because, after the Spurs game, people were crying for him. Xhaka, and I still see it sometimes on Twitter. But like, realistically, no, like, come on. Who's talking about Xhaka? Who's talking about Rob Holding? Who's talking about any of these guys, man? We've moved on. We didn't need these. We don't need these guys. We're such a better team. And I can't wait till the end of the season where no one talks about it anymore, because I personally think we've moved on and we're better off.
So guys in the chat as well, let me know what your thoughts about this. So realistically, this is the last part of the stream, and we're just going to see where we are because we are joint top now. And I welcome Tony to the chat. Tony was in the gym, by the way, this evening. So he was busy as well. But let's have a look at the current 3 top teams in the league and what their next 6 games are. Now, when you look at Arsenal, and let's focus on Arsenal because it's for us to start the chase, right? For us, the chase is so important because we want to really pick up from where we was last season. Had Jesus scored that goal against Spurs,
I need to correct you, Apollo. It's not the chase; it's setting the pace. We're setting the pace. We aren't chasing.
Setting the pace. Yeah, he's setting the pace. Yes, let's take that analogy. Setting the pace. If had Jesus had scored that goal against Spurs, we would currently have a 4-point lead at the top of the table. That's how crucial this is at this point. So Arsenal go away to Chelsea. I think that's going to be extremely tough. Let me welcome Tony to the stream because Tony's been out at the gym. He's all buffed up and all pumped up at the moment, feeling good. He's got his Randy Savage macho voice going on right here. So he's all pumped up after the City win. Tony, what's your
man? Randy Savage is in the house.
What's your thoughts on Chelsea?
I think they're beatable. They appear to have found some form of form in that they now have won a few games on the bounce. And, look, it was going to take them a while. I still think they're a little bit away from being a contender. So at this stage, it represents to me a challenge, but a challenge that we should, with all the right players in place, which hopefully we will have, we
got Martinelli and Partey back. And Saka will be back as well.
Yeah, those two are massive for me. Martinelli and Partey, you could just see the second half when they came on. They're going to make such a huge difference to this team going forward and keeping those guys fit. Obviously, Saka as well. Makes us, formidable. So it's still got to be a tough game. It's still a London derby, but yeah, I would hope that we could get a result. But at worst case, I think a draw would be still a decent result.
And what about you, African going at Chelsea? I mean, really, let's talk about Chelsea, Newcastle. That's
pretty much it.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a feeling we're gonna score from a corner. I think there's a Gabriel or Saliba or a Declan Rice header coming in this game. It could be a tight game.
Oh, because they're so tiny, aren't they? Chelsea are one of the shortest teams in the league, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. And Tony, we haven't. I mean, we're due one of those goals. There's 8 games, we haven't had one of them yet. And I mean, we know how good we are on set pieces from corners, right? I mean, even this season, I think we've scored the most from corners. So yeah, I think it's either going to be a blowout where we win 3-0, 4-0, and we humble them and we remind them like, look, you had one win and scored and Jackson scored, but like, look, you're still not at our level, or it'll be a really tight one and we just get away with 1-0. So that's how I feel about that. Against Newcastle, they're kind of going up and down. I think they started really, really well, and then they've they beat PSG, which is great, and then they fell again. So it's kind of up and down. But I think we win. I think out of all these games, we win all of them.
Yeah, I mean, the Newcastle away was, as I said to you guys before, I think that was one of our best performances. Every time Bertram says to me, name me a game where the manager changed it tactically, I always refer back to this one. Arteta done an astonishing job, not just in the win itself, but the preparation. Like, we were ready from Newcastle on the off. We knew they were going to come out. Tony says he's got to go and get something done. So what's your overall feelings on this, Tony, on these 6 games? How much do you think all 6 of them are winnable?
Yeah, they're all winnable. I think it's a big ask to win all 6. If we were to get a draw in amongst the 6, I'd think that would still be setting the pace for the rest of the teams. You know, Man City's run is undoubtedly very tricky for them to get 6 wins on the bounce. Tottenham have pretty much a decent. No, I mean the Villa and the Man City at the end, they're hella difficult. So yeah,
And
I mean,
Wolves, Wolves away is not easy.
Yeah, so if we get a draw, if we get 1 draw in amongst 6, you know, maybe even 2 draws in amongst 6, I would still think we'd be setting the pace by the end of the 6 games, because I don't see Tottenham getting anything out of Man City away, you know, possibly at home, but away, no, sir.
Yeah, I agree. Guys, I think we could all agree, and we've left this until last. Man City's schedule looks awful.
But
they have Brighton, who's been beating everybody away. Brighton's been beating everybody away. Then they've got United, their arch rivals, and which they haven't won at Old Trafford in a while. Got beaten there 2-1 last season. Bournemouth home, that's going to be an easy game. Chelsea away. They've got Liverpool and Tottenham, but they're both in the Etihad. Still 2 very, very tough games. I think City can fall away from this battle, really.
Yeah, I hope they lose some of these games. That'd be great. But it's also like them to now, after losing these 3 games, to now get Rodri back and then all these games as well. I just hope it's the bad side of it.
I mean, to me, if they were to go on a 6-game unbeaten run with those games, the writing would be on the wall. The writing would be on the wall. It would pretty much be telling you, guys, we sorted out our issues. We've got our ballers back, and now prepare to battle it out for 2nd place. But as you said, if they can drop points, you know, even draws at this stage in amongst those 6 games, I think that just gives us an impetus to go and, you know, get a gap that we could then look to hold through the new year. And then obviously, you know, with, you know, potentially a new signing or 2 in January, push on for even better things.
So I'm just going to refer back to my predictions page. I'm not going to put it up on the stream. It's on Twitter for you guys. We are streaming live on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube at the moment, guys. But just go into myself. I said Arsenal was going to win the league this season.
Can we predicted after 8 games and see where we were?
All right, he wants to see it, so I didn't want to put it up, guys.
No, I'm tempted now. I want to see how close.
I've not even snipped it up. At the moment, guys. You can see here. I said that we were going to win every game and that we were only going to draw Chelsea away. I went for us having 28 out of a possible 30 points. That's what I went for. Where are we? The African Guna and Tony are right next to each other. Actually, Tony went for 24 out of 30. And the African Guna 26 out of 30.
I'm close to being bang on. I got 2 draws in there and all wins.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, that's right. Where did Tony go then? Tony went 3 draws.
Said it was a win.
Yeah, Tony got the Tottenham one right. He was the only one along with Vincey.
He said we were gonna draw against Man. Yeah, I also said we were gonna draw.
Yeah, so you know what? Tony probably, if we draw against Chelsea, then Tony would have it absolutely 100% bang on.
Yeah.
But Tony said we'll win the league, and the African Gunas head said that we would finish.
Yeah, but there was a caveat. I just didn't want to get too ahead of myself. I was protecting myself.
That's what the whole point of this is, to get too ahead of yourself, to put your neck out there, bro.
Change mine to first. Change it now.
All right, let's change it to first.
All right, guys, I'm going to run. I'll catch you guys later.
No problem. So, guys, look, we had a lot of fun tonight, man. Thank you guys for joining us. Believe it or not, it's 10 o'clock. I've not even had my dinner yet. So, any final thoughts, though? It's really good to have you on that, I think, Kaguna. We don't get you on watch along because you like to watch the game with your dad and stuff.
Yeah,
But
no, even
how do you really feel? How do you really feel about this season right now?
Yeah, no, in terms of the watch-alongs, I think it's because everyone sees it at different times, and I don't want to see you guys celebrate before I actually see the goal. I think it takes away some of the emotion, whether it's conceding or scoring. So I do like to watch it kind of in isolation alone, or whoever I'm watching it with. But in terms of the season, I think, yeah, I told you, this is the best Arsenal team I've seen in my life. This is the best phase as an Arsenal fan in my life. Oh, I'm 27, and I've seen some really bad players in my time. I've seen us make mistakes. I've lived through it all, really. And this is like a completely new team. I feel like we're one of the best in the world. I'm confident almost every game. Like, when we draw, it's like, I don't remember what that feels like. Or even when we lose, it's like, it's so long now since we draw or lose games that it's like, you don't remember the feeling. And it's like, whoa, I haven't had this feeling for a long time. But then you also reminisce and say, oh, I remember when I used to have this feeling all the time. And that shows, like, to me, how much progress there is, right? And I think even just hearing the songs and hearing the fans, I mean, as I said, you really, through the TV screen, you can feel the difference. As much as people say in the stands, you can hear the difference. So I'm very positive about the season. I think Man City, having won the treble, they wanted the Champions League. They poured their hearts out for the Champions League. And now that they've won it, there might be some leniency creeping in, right? Some hangover, and I'm hoping that that's the case. And they lose a couple games or they draw a couple games. And for me, as I said, I mean, these next 6 games and even further, I see us winning all our games. It's really only against Liverpool and Man City that I'm like, okay, maybe we probably, we have to fight for those games. But every other game, I'm like, no, we should be getting 3 points, irrespective if it's 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, whatever the case is. I'm expecting to win every game. I really hope that we go really far in the Champions League. Look, I don't want to hear
me too. Yeah.
About like, oh, let's get the strongest teams. No, I never want that. Even if we're the best in the world, logically, I want to have the easiest draw until the final. Naturally, that's just me, how I am. I think I've always been like that. When people say, "Oh no, let's get Man City," no, I don't want. Like, give me them in the final. That's fine, but let's get there. So, we used to be
them guys were asking if you've got a girlfriend, and one of them said we need a goonerette. All of us do. Funny.
Yeah.
I've been with my wife for 30 years, and she's not she's a goonerette.
So someone asked me the other day, what if you find a 10 and she's a United fan? What happens then? And I'm like, honestly, I don't even know how to answer that because it's very difficult. I would have to make a decision in the moment and convert her.
My son has been there, so I can talk from experience. That's a rough household.
I was gonna say we used to be a good knockout team. That used to be how we are, and I think now we're a much more consistent team. So I think you were still a really good knockout team, but we're also a consistent team in the league. So I think we compete for all 4. Like even the League Cup, I want to win it this year. I don't think it's enough. Like if we win the League Cup and we finish second and we get knocked out in the quarterfinals, whatever, I think that's not a good season. I think we need to win either the Premier League or we need to win the Prem and get really far in the Champions League. I mean, if we don't win the Prem and we make it to the final of the Champions League, or we don't win a trophy this season, it's going to be very hard to say it was a good season because we set the bar so high last year. But yeah, I mean, it's all positive. I love all the Arsenal players. I'm planning to come down again. I mean, the experience I had in May was just absolutely incredible, and I want to do that again this year. So hopefully Arsenal gives me a good reason, either the Champions League final or lifting the trophy in May for me to come back to life.
The only problem would be the tickets. The tickets are an absolute nightmare. It's the worst. It's the worst I've ever seen the tickets at this stage. It is so bad. So it's something that we'll definitely have to plan for. I have a silver and a gold, and obviously I get in with my gold, but my silver, which used to be able to get a ticket every single game, apparently they're saying this because it's a lottery system now. You already know about this. The lottery silvers can get 29%, and the red members are now 10%. And I don't know. I do the lottery every game. I never get tickets. I used to get a ticket for every single game. So it's bad. It's bad, man.
Yeah, in the January window, I do want us to like we have to strengthen. I think that's something that I regret from last season. I know we were strong, but I think if we did get that one player, I think it would have made a difference. If it was a big signing, it would have been really good. And also, I'm really hoping. The injuries has been bad. Let's not caveat it. It's for the first 8 games we've had a lot of injuries. I know Chelsea
a lot. Yeah.
But I mean, we've had some bad injuries, so I'm really hoping it doesn't come to a point where look, we have to start relying on Nelson and Fabio Vieira. Like, look, they can play their part, but for them to come in and consistently play 3, 4, 5 games, I think it'll take the level down. So I'm hoping injuries wise, no major injuries.
Excellent. All right, guys, that's it from us. What's the time? It's 10:15 at night. You're an hour ahead, aren't you?
Yeah.
All right. So it's 11:15 over there. Thank you for joining me this evening. We got through a lot, and in good time as well. And I hope you guys are gonna try and get some more videos up for you guys on the channel. It is International Week, so everybody just have a bathe in the success of the win. We can get to stretch that win out. Sometimes you don't get to enjoy the wins because you've got the next one coming up, but we can stretch this one out as long as we want to, guys. We can talk about it all weekend.
We'll be talking about it all season long, honestly.
Yeah, brilliant. All right, guys, all the best. Thanks for joining me tonight, and I'll speak to you the next one. Peace out, everybody. Love you like cooked food.